Descent of the Demon God. By Hanjo Wiolia. Chapter 60. The Beginning of Revenge. Part 1. At Chen Yuan's unexpected words, the Muram warriors couldn't hide their shock. If they weren't mistaken, Chen Yuan just claimed that the people in the place had to be cleaned up. Jacob Bohyang shouted in a bewildered voice. "Alright now, do you even realize what you say, quack? You bastard." Clash. Before Jigel Bohyang could finish his words, Becky swung his sword at Chen Yuan. One could see how angry he was. He looked like a devil with the blood dripping down his mouth. He felt humiliated when his tongue got cut off in front of everyone. "I will kill you." Whoosh. He began to unfold blade chi. Chen Yuan, who looked at it, narrowed his eyes. Blade God 6 skills. It was a technique of the Blade God 6 martial clan. Judging from the movement, it was Ascension of Dragon, one of the starting forms of extreme art of Blade God. Unfolding such a technique meant that Becky was a disciple of the Blade God 6 martial clan. Weak. The sharp blade chi, which came out like a tornado, tried to wrap itself around Chen Yuan. Got you. Once a person gets caught in it, they would turn into pieces as the tornado would close in. It was a technique that couldn't be stopped if one didn't dodge from the beginning. What amazing skill! The warriors around couldn't hide their admiration. It was no exaggeration to say that it was the best execution of the Blade God 6 martial clan's technique. But you think this is enough to trap me? Unfortunately, if someone wanted to corner Chen Yuan, then it had to be the Blade God, the creator of the blade techniques himself. Shoo! Chen Yuan held his sword and then stabbed the center of the technique, which was in the process of unfolding. Clang! Ah! An amazing thing happened. As the technique was halted, Becky's body bounced back. Papa Pack! Quack! As he was hit while unfolding the technique, there was no way Becky was going to be fine. His face was pale as he coughed up blood. Kaka, the technique of extreme art of Blade God. Beck Yi, who had absolute confidence in his technique, was trembling all over since his best technique was broken down right away. No way. No one in Jinan could do it so easily. The warriors couldn't hide their shock. They did know that Chen Yuan was a divine master, but they never dreamed that a superior master-level warrior couldn't even stand against him. A monster. This alone made them realize that no one could go against Chen Yuan. However, he didn't stop there. There is no reason to keep you, descendant of Blade God 6 martial clan, alive. Why? Chen Yuan pressed his sword against Beck Ye's forehead. Puck. Quack. As a sharp blade pierced his head, Beck Yi died right away. As his body fell, his face showed despair. President. You. The warriors of 6 Essence yelled as they grabbed their swords. However, even the 50 of them didn't have the courage to attack Chen Yuan. Their bodies were trembling with fear. Chen Yuan spoke. "Why aren't you coming? Your leader was killed by my hands." TCH. Despite the provocation, they were unable to respond. A single step, and they all felt like they would be killed. What the hell is this? Jigel Bohyang shouted as he saw the dead figure of Beck Yi. He really knew nothing. This was a place where the Jinan warriors and gatekeepers were gathered to subdue the enemy of mankind. However, Chen Yuan killed Beck Yi in front of all the audience. Isn't he even thinking about what he is doing? Conflict between warriors should never occur in a place where citizens were present. Who in the whole world would act like this? That was when someone stepped ahead. I didn't want to interfere because I thought that this was an internal matter of the association, but I don't think I can stand by anymore. He was the platoon leader, Ma Kongqiam, the leader of Jinan. Gatekeepers belonging to the national defense took over the role of national guards during defense battles, and he was the man in charge of the situation. Judging that Chen Youan was causing a riot, he decided to interfere. And naturally, the warriors didn't like gatekeepers interfering with their matters. However, Jiggle Bohyun thought that it was helpful since he was trying to stop the mess. That monster, why is he acting like this towards us? I don't know the reason for his attitude, but he won't be able to lay his hands on the gatekeepers. If that was to happen, then the whole government would turn against him. Ma Kongqiam, who approached Chen Youan, said, "Stop this now. In the time of war, in front of everyone, you murdered a significant member of the Murim Association. As a member of national defense, we cannot let this pass. You are under arrest in accordance with Article 8, Paragraph 3 of Don't Interfere in Murim Affairs." Chen Youan cut his words in a cold voice. However, Ma Kongqiam showed no signs of backing down. "I can't do that. From the moment you committed the murder in the war situation, it was no longer a Murim's." "That so? Then there is nothing I can do." "What?" Swish. Thud. Quack. Ma Kongqiam's neck was bent sideways. He staggered a little ahead and collapsed with a dumbfounded look. "Platoon leader." The gatekeepers shouted in advance. They didn't expect that anyone would do such a thing. Some were bewildered, while others tried to fearlessly use their abilities against Chen Youan. Chen Youan lowered his hand. And thud. Quack. What is this? All of them kneeled. Some who had abilities to raise their strength tried to move, but they couldn't even budge. Enraged at it, the third platoon leader, Yeo Gyekmun, shouted, "Stop this right now. Are you going to turn the gatekeepers and the defense into your enemies? You are such funny people. You shouldn't have intervened in the first place." Chen Youan lowered his hand even further. The kneeling gatekeepers fell to the floor. Thud. Ugh. Their bodies lying on the floor were glued to the ground. The sounds of their bones crushing under the pressure could be heard. Crack. "Saw save me. L leader." At the sight of his members dying under the pressure, the leader couldn't turn a blind eye. He shouted loudly as he put his hands on his earphone. "If you don't stop this right now, I will be reporting this to the defense. If that happens, you will become the worst criminal in not just Jinan, but also the Qin." Crack. Before he could finish speaking, the earphones were broken. As Chen Youan looked around, not just the leaders, but all the gatekeepers' earphones got broken. Break. Yuk. Earphone. They immediately threw off the earphones. As a result, their contact with the defense was cut off. Shocked, Yeo Gyekmun looked at Chen Youan in fear. How can a warrior possess such ability? Chen Youan stretched out his hand towards the man. His body trembled and got dragged by Chen Youan. Grab. Chen Youan grabbed his neck. Quack. What was that about the National Defense Bureau? Hick. The man was in utter fear. He felt like he had touched something he shouldn't have. However, if he stayed still like this, he was sure he was going to die. So stop it. This is just a matter of time. The defense will figure this out and make you pay for. Is that so? What do you mean? If all of you were annihilated while dealing with the entities, why would they target me? At those words, Yeo Gyekmun couldn't hide his shock. What nonsense are you saying about us being killed while dealing with the entities? Even citizens have seen it, huh? In an instant, something flashed through his mind. He remembered the dead Baekye's words, who mentioned how Chen Youan intervened too late into the battle. Maybe, this is the reason he touched Alpha Shavara. His face went stiff. Only then did he realize why Chen Yuan waited for citizens to get away from the place. To think about all that in the middle of the war. No one was around. No single citizen was around, no person would know what happened to the warriors and the gatekeepers. Chen Yuan would deal with all the warriors, and then get rid of the gatekeepers who ignored his warning. Didn't that mean that he planned to kill them all from the beginning? You don't plan on doing. Did you think I was joking? Grab. Quack. Chen Yuan tried to break the neck of the leader with his hand. It was then. Stop. Jiggle Bohyun screamed, making Chen Yuan turn. He was holding a sword glowing blue. Are you ready to start showing your true self? At Chen Yuan's words, Jiggle Bohyun exclaimed with a firm expression. Listen, all warriors and gatekeepers. That heinous man is trying to harm all of us. His voice was carried out by energy to make everyone hear. Chen Yuan's eyes turned cold at that. Did you think that we'd run away when you said that you would take us down? Jiggle Bohyun believed that there was only one way to overcome the situation. That would be working together. Even if he is a divine master level, he is still a human. Do you think that he won't tire down? We have strength on our side and we can get through this challenge. Everyone, please help. Whoa. The warriors who were terrified by Chen Yuan's power whispered at Jiggle Bohyun's words. Including the injured ones, there were 500 warriors. And adding the gatekeepers, it would be 600. We have the upper hand. It might be possible. As long as he isn't an entity, he can be dealt with, stab his vital point and he dies. All that was needed to take down a human was to hit his vital points. And that would mark their victory. The moral of the gatekeepers and warriors slowly revived. TCH. Chen Yuan shook his head. Aiming his sword, Jiggle Bohyun spoke with a happy face. Don't act pretentious. Even if it is you think you can deal with us? You used up a lot of strength to get rid of the Shivaras and the Alpha. Even if you are a divine master level, there is a limit to, it was then. Chen Yuan stretched out his hand towards the air. Cold air began to spread around and countless ice swords formed in the air. JJJJKKKK. The sky was filled with ice swords. At the marvelous sight, Jiggle Bohyun was at a loss for words. It was the same for other warriors. It can't be. Is he even human? As Jiggle Bohyun said, everyone believed that Chen Yuan had exhausted his strength. They thought that he wouldn't be able to make a large number of ice swords anymore, but the man could still unfold so many at once. Crack. Quack. Chen Yuan broke the neck of Yeo Gyakmun and then threw the body away like it was trash and said, "What do you mean by exhaust my strength?" Shoo. Jiggle Bohyun's sword stopped shining. He took a step back with a white face and a broken will. This wasn't something that any man could do. Monster. He couldn't think of any other word. Even the 5 strongest warriors would be nothing in front of Chen Yuan. Looking at all of them, Chen Yuan spoke. I think you are all still mistaken. What are you saying? Shoo. Chen Yuan didn't speak and just pointed his hand to the side. Hundreds of floating ice swords flew towards the warriors at great speed. Pop-a-pack. Quack. Kook. Screams erupted from all over the place. Avoid it. How can we, Kook? They were simple ice swords, but ice swords with sword chi condensed on them. It was as if Chen Yuan was wielding each sword. In an instant, 50 people died. They were all the people of 6 Essence. Within seconds, a strong force of Jinan City was wiped out with a single gesture. No way. Are you really going to kill everyone? Chen Yuan looked at the ones who were still alive and answered. You still think you won't have to die? Creepy. The way he said it made a chill run down all their spines. The man in front of them wasn't lying. He really intended to kill everyone. Like everyone else, Huang Boyun, who was trembling in fear, wanted to know the reason. What the hell did we commit to deserve this? He couldn't understand it. The other people nodded at Huang Boyun's question. Chen Yuan spoke to them in a strong voice. The sin of daring to touch my cult. Cult? They were puzzled and unable to understand what he meant. Fat. 9 warriors leisurely passed through the warriors and the gatekeepers, approached Chen Yuan, and knelt. Why are they kneeling in front of him? They were all members of the Yongchen group alongside their chairman. There was no way that Jigel Bohyun or Huang Boyun, the descendants of the 5 great clans, who monitored everything with spies, didn't know who they were. No way. Jigel Bohyun's eyes trembled. At that time, Chairman Chen Yujiang, who knelt and bowed, greeted Chen Yuan. Lord Chen Ma. Please give us a chance to take revenge for the cult. Chapter 61. The Beginning of Revenge. Part 2. Jigel Bohyun couldn't understand it. Chen Ma? Is there anyone in Murim who didn't know what Chen Ma meant? It was a worship title within the Sky Demon Order, given to the one who was the strongest in the history of Murim. Along with the scholars of other factions, such as the Shaolin Temple's monk, and the birthplace of martial arts Zhonghu region, the figure called Chen Ma was a legend. Everyone knew about that. However, then appeared Chen Yuan, the second Chen Ma, who swept the entire Murim over 1,000 years ago. It was known that he was the ultimate Chen Ma. I thought there was no other Chen Ma in the demonic cult. Since the second Chen Ma, there was no warrior who stood out like the past ones. And especially now. Everyone in the Murim Association knew that the Sky Demon Order had fallen since the company was dissolved. But now, Chen Yujiang, who was supposed to be aiming for the title of Lord, was acting like a follower? Please give me and the members a chance to take revenge for the cult. Give us the chance. Following Chen Yujiang, 8 senior executives of Yongchen shouted. Since the dissolution of Black Sky Company, they were all waiting for such a chance. Their blood boils at the thought of what they had been through. Demonic cult. The warriors, including Jigel Bohyun, were sure of one thing. The monster that the Yongchen group members were kneeling before was a member of demonic cult. Huang Boyun bit his lip and said, I think that's the reason you are trying to kill us all. Black Sky Company, no, it is for revenge for the destruction of the demonic. Shu. Puck. Ack. At that moment, 2 floating ice swords flew and pierced both his thighs. Huang Boyun, whose legs weakened, fell to his knees. Thud. Quack. Chen Yuan spoke to him. Demonic cult? I left you alone because you looked like a nice one, but you seem reckless as well. The other warriors would never even dare say anything. However, Huang Boyun didn't back down. Who are you? I never heard of warriors like you in the demonic cult. The Lord was imprisoned. And the 3 who were fighting for the title of Lord weren't that strong. Clang. Shu. Suddenly, Director Huan Mianlo pointed his sword at Huang Boyun's throat and said, You aren't in a position to ask that. Huan Mianlo. Huang Boyun raised his voice and looked at him. Since they have been sensing spies, he knew that Huan Mianlo was one of the leaders in the Yongchen group. Whoop. Reckless. Huan Boyun couldn't hide his anger. If it weren't for Chen Yuan, he could have taken down Huan Mianlo right away. You never thought that this day would come, did you? On the other hand, the smile didn't leave Huan Mianlo's lips. For nearly 27 years, he spent every day living in shame. Constantly under the eyes of spies, the Yongchen group struggled to keep a low profile. However, Huang Boyun, a member of the Forces of Justice, one of the 3 major factions, was now kneeling. He couldn't hide the pleasure. Give me a chance. A chance? Yes. Shoo. Chen Yuzhang put his hand on the sword and answered. He wanted to slaughter all the warriors right away if Chen Youwen gave the orders. That was when someone shouted. This is too much. It was Chai Sun, the president of Mokyang Furniture, one of the executives of the Murim Association. He continued to speak with an upset face. Our Mokyang Sword clan has no relationship with the cult. Isn't it too much to kill everyone in here? That was true. The Mokyang Sword clan had joined the Murim Association just 15 years ago. And it was a clan which had nothing to do with the incident that happened 27 years ago. They have nothing to do? When Chen Youwen looked at Chen Yuzhang with a questioning look, he nodded his head. And then someone else shouted. Our clan also joined the Murim Association just 10 years ago. Like the Mokyang Sword clan, we had nothing to do with the demonic cult. And when that happened, people kept screaming from here and they're telling they had nothing to do with what happened. It is the same with us. Our clan had nothing to do with your cult. Trust us. They were all struggling to get noticed. It made no sense for them that they were involved in an incident which happened 27 years ago. It was disappointing to see that they wanted to get out alive and leave their comrades to die. Director Ma. Are you only aiming to save yourself? If not, should our clan be destroyed because of something that we didn't even do? What? Director Ma is right. If there is someone to be held responsible, then it should be the ones who did it. Huh, these people. Bowing down to someone just to save your neck. What? People began to argue. Huh. At that sight, Jiggle Bohyan's thoughts turned complicated. He thought that the members of the Murim Association would have a sense of unity, but this was just so messed up. Is this human nature? It was a total separation. Jiggle Bohyan, who was perplexed, looked at someone. Leader Ju? It was Ju Munpyong. He joined the Murim Association 16 years ago as an executive in the Jinan City branch. Along with the other ones, he was someone who had nothing to do with the events which happened 27 years ago. He kept being silent, contemplating in fear, till now, that is. Well, not everyone turned their backs on us. The forces of justice aren't dead yet, ah. Suddenly a good thought came to Jiggle Bohyan's mind. He sent a message to Ju Munpyong. Leader Ju. Chairman Jiggle. Since we don't have time, I'll say it. What are you? You have nothing to do with what happened 27 years ago. Please state that. No way. How can I do such a thing, just to live among the wicked demonic cult people who are aiming to destroy justice? I know how righteous you are. But if you survive, you will be able to inform the main body of the Murim Association about this. Ju Munpyong looked at him with confused eyes. What Jiggle Bohyan said was to let the entire Murim Association know about what happened. If the truth will be told, then even those who turned their backs on us will end up becoming witnesses. Chairman Jiggle. Please. Survive for the cause. Ju Munpyong understood it. Surely, the man was right. If he survived and revealed the facts, everyone would come together and stop the demonic cult. Determined, Ju Munpyong raised his hand and shouted. Our Wise Medicine clan also joined the Murim Association just 16 years back, and we hadn't done anything to your cult. At that, Jiggle Bohyan nodded his head. In the end, 29 clans expressed that they had nothing to do with the demonic cult. And a total of 187 individual warriors. Lord Chun Ma. Are we sparing them? Director Hang Yurin asked. She thought that keeping them alive, just because they hadn't done anything, would still turn into trouble. They will stab us in the back. Another person agreed. Even if the people had nothing to do with the past events, they would sooner or later turn their backs on the cult the way they turned their backs on the Murim Association. We need to kill them all. At that, Chai-sun, of another clan shouted, "I will never betray your cult or back-stab you, I swear." "We swear too. Please have mercy on us." At one person's words, everyone began to plead. They all didn't want to die. Chen Yuan looked at Chen Yujing asked, "What would you do if you were the Lord?" When he was asked to speak his opinion out of the blue, Chen Yujing was shocked. He didn't just ask for his opinion, but asked him what he would do if he was the Lord. "Ah, ancestor is testing me." He thought his ancestor was testing him. Chen Yujing, who knew that he had to deal with this to get under good graces, was troubled. As a lord, he wanted to be wise. Chen Yujing answered with a bright face when he thought of an answer. "Lord Chen Ma, I found the answer. Can you entrust this to me?" "Go ahead." Chen Yuan allowed it. Chen Yujing stepped ahead and looked at the warriors who were begging for their lives. "You have all said that you would never stand against the cult." "Yes." Chai-sun, a warrior, answered. "Then swear it." "We said that we would. We would never divulge this to any, not that." "Swear allegiance to the cult." At Chen Yujing's words, they couldn't hide their shock. They did just betray their allies in order to survive. However, Chen Yujing was now asking them to swear their loyalty to the Sky Demon Order. Mumble. Confusion arose. And Chen Yujing continued. "I will spare anyone who comes under the cult. But if you don't, we won't be able to trust you no matter what you say." At those harsh words, the clan leaders fell into despair. It was the only way to stay alive. But they would continue to live in shame. Chai-sun, of Mokyang Sword Clan, knelt down and cried. "Our Mokyang Sword Clan swears allegiance to the Sky Demon Order. As evidence, our company will be operating as an affiliate to the Yongchen Group." "He. A traitor." As he swore, people began to criticize him. Seeing him do that made them despise the clan. Kook. Feeling ashamed, Chai-sun closed his eyes. However, he endured it because of his desire to preserve his clan. "Even so, you people." Puck. Quack. At that moment, Chen Yujing's sword pierced the chest of a warrior who was about to criticize the man. Chen Yujing looked at the warriors and warned them. "Whoever criticizes our cult members will be dead." The warning was extremely effective. Everyone turned silent. Nobody criticized Chai-sun anymore. As everyone turned silent, more clan leaders began to swear allegiance. At that, Chen Yujing gave orders to General Manager Su Zhong. "Capture all of this on video." "Yes." Su Zhong pulled out his phone and began to record. This. Zhu Munpyong, who was about to take the oath, was irritated. If everything was going to be recorded, then it was no longer possible to dream of turning back. He looked at Jiggle Bohyun. Jiggle Bohyun sent a message with an apologetic look. "Please, for the sake of Murim." He was encouraging people to make a false oath. Zhu Munpyong nodded with a bitter expression. He would end up being branded as a traitor on both sides, but if Jiggle Bohyun could at least vouch for him, then it might work out. Zhu Munpyong stood in front of the place where everyone was taking an oath and said, "Our Wise Medicine Clan pledges to come under the Sky Demon Order." As proof. With that, many people came ahead and pledged their allegiance to the Sky Demon Order. As proof, they promised to be affiliated with the Yongchen Group. Since everything was filmed, the executives of the Yongchen Group felt satisfied. He is wise. The Lord will praise him. This was more beneficial to the cult than killing them. They even had a video as proof. Pack. Once it was done, Chen Yujing knelt down and reported. Reporting to Lord Chen Ma. 29 clan leaders have pledged allegiance to the cult. His eyes were filled with confidence, believing that he proved himself a little. He thought Chen Youan would treat him differently than before. However, what Chen Youan said was beyond his expectations. "This is it? Huh?" I asked if this is it. Chen Yuzhang was puzzled. He made people take an oath of allegiance, what else could he do? "I Lord Chen Ma, what you are. Still a long way off." "Yes?" Chen Youan reached out his hand, making someone come fly towards him. "Grab." Ack. It was Zhu Munpayong. He was suddenly pulled and caught by Chen Youan. Puzzled, he asked, "Why?" Chen Youan looked at Jiggle Bohyun and said, "How funny. You thought you would make a false oath and I wouldn't know?" "Itae?" Jiggle Bohyun was so shocked that he was at a loss for words. It was the same with Zhu Munpayong, caught in Chen Youan's hand. How in hell did? They used telepathy. How could he know what they were talking about? Flustered, Zhu Munpayong tried to play it cool. What do you mean by that? How could I give a false oath?" Crack. Quack. Before the man could ever explain, Chen Youan broke his neck. How? He swore allegiance. People couldn't understand what they'd just witnessed. Only Jiggle Bohyun had a different reaction. How did he know? He had never heard about a person with the ability of eavesdropping on telepathy. However, Chen Youan didn't seem to do anything. It seemed like he just heard what they conversed. Chen Youan addressed himself to those who swore allegiance to him. "Let's test your loyalty." "Test?" Chen Youan pointed at Jiggle Bohyun and the other warriors who didn't swear. "Allegiance. Kill them." The faces of those who swore allegiance went stiff. They thought they would be spared. But to be asked to kill the people they were working with until a moment ago. Suzhong. Yes. Shoot the video of them proving their allegiance too. Yes. At Chen Youan's command, he pulled out the phone again. The Murim warriors who swore allegiance were dumbfounded. How can we? Quack. If such a scene was recorded, they would end up being the main culprits. And if they don't do what he asked, their loyalty will be questioned. They were in a dire situation. Chen Youan urged them in a cold voice. On the count to 3. Kill all those who don't move. Chapter 62. The Beginning of Revenge. Part 3. 1. Chen Youan started counting. The warriors who swore allegiance were equally humiliated. However, for those who had to be killed, this was the worst moment of their lives. Complex emotions were mixed in their eyes as they looked at their former allies holding weapons in their hands. You wicked devil. Fat. Unable to hold back his anger, Jiggle Bohyun forgot about the huge difference in power and tried to attack Chen Youan. However, there was no way that the executives of Yongchun would leave him alone. How dare you? Tat attack. In an instant, Director Hang Yurin, who suddenly appeared behind him, sealed his blood points and knocked him to the floor. Kook. Even though they were on the same level, Jiggle Bohyun had already suffered internal injuries. Thus he was easily beaten. Hang Yurin, who was pressing the man down, grabbed his hand and said, "Grab." Quack. Look closely. Hoo. Hang Yurin's face was full of joy. The thought of revenge, to make them taste the pain they felt when they helplessly watched their lord, Chen Wujin, get imprisoned, made her heart pound. Is this what revenge feels like? She wasn't the only one feeling that way. Chen Yuzhang was also enjoying the moment. Recalling the suffering they all had suffered for 27 years, there was no sympathy in his heart. Chen Youan counted the next number. 2. What should I do? People were all confused and scared. They pledged their allegiance to the Sky Demon Order in order to save their lives, But killing their colleagues was a different matter. These traitors. The Murim Association will punish you. As they hesitated, the other warriors criticized them. If it wasn't for Chen Yuan's air swords floating in the air, they would have definitely punished the traitors right away, but they couldn't. And then the last number came out. 3. Fat. As soon as it fell, the warriors who swore allegiance swung their weapons towards the other warriors, their faces full of pain. Shit. Forgive me. Ah. Puck. Puck. Quack. Why you people? In the end, screams and blood erupted from everywhere. You bastard, you traitors. Even so, you guys are. Quack. It was a weird situation. As they died, they ended up insulting the traitors and not Chen Yuan. Clang. What? At that time, those who were about to be killed pulled out their weapons. What are you doing? What? Before I go, I will kill you bastards. Me too. Fat. The warriors who drew their weapons rushed towards them. At first, they stood still because they were scared of Chen Yuan. But if they were to die anyway, then they would at least bring the traitors with them. Ancestor. Chen Yuzhang tried to stop the rebellious warriors, but leave it alone. Sorry? Chen Yuan stopped him. Why? Chen Yuzhang and the other executives were puzzled. However, they soon found out the reason. Things have drastically changed. The warriors, who were suffering while attacking their comrades, changed. Quack. Traitor? Who is a traitor? You. We have to face the consequences of what you people did. Isn't this all because of you? Those who swore allegiance and attacked their colleagues. At some point, they really wanted to kill them. Huang Boyun and Jigel Bohyun, who were watching this situation, were filled with misery. It was very painful to watch. Rage. As they weren't getting involved in the horrific battle, they had no choice but to get angry at Chen Yuan, the cause of all this. Both shouted at Chen Yuan at the same time. How could you do such a thing? How can you even call yourself a human being? Chen Yuan spoke in an indifferent voice. Why would I care? This man is really... Jigel Bohyun was left speechless. It felt like Chen Yuan was the devil himself. Unlike him, Huang Boyun was more aggressive. What? Huh? Didn't you take advantage of being strong and drive them into harming each other? What you are doing is insulting the honor of warriors. This isn't just killing. How can you do that? What a joke. What? Step. Step. Chen Yuan approached him. He lowered himself down to the man, who was pushed down by Huan Miano, and spoke as he looked into his eyes. Did they not have a choice? Huang Boyun yelled. What choice? You were threatening to kill them. If you don't want to be insulted as a warrior, isn't there a good way to end this? That. Huang Boyun was speechless. He thought of saying something, but he couldn't figure out what to refute. Those who swore allegiance to the Sky Demon Order had done it because they wanted to live, and it was the warriors of the Murim Association who chose not to stay silent and attack the traitors. They chose it. Kook. Huang Boyun, who realized it, was upset. He tried to rebuke him. Even so, this isn't right. Are you not ashamed? Even if it is for revenge, for a strong person like you. Grab. Chen Yuan grabbed his mouth. I thought you were a decent guy, but you talk too much. Weren't you also good at scheming? Didn't you imprison the lord of the cult and then manage to break it up by creating internal problems? Yoop. That. Huang Boyun's eyes trembled. He knew that Chen Yuan was talking about the incident which happened 27 years ago. At that time, the other three factions focused on overthrowing the Sky Demon Order, one of the four major factions in Murim. It was a shameful decision, but they had to do it in order to drive out the forces of evil and the demonic cult. As a result, the factions of the forces of justice ruled Murim. Your factions always talk about harmony and righteousness. Chen Yuan gripped stronger. Crack. The teeth and jaws cracked. Blood and saliva began to flow out of the closed mouth. Quack. It was so painful that Huang Boyun tried to push away Chen Yuan's hand. But Huan Miaono, who was behind him, pulled the right hand back and broke it. Crack. Puck. Quack. Don't move. Huang Boyun was in pain as he couldn't move. Seeing him writhe, Chen Yuan said, "Bullshit. No matter how fancy you pack those words, you people are also scum who gain from other people's pain to reach your goals. That is the answer." He looked at the place where the warriors were killing each other. More than half of them were dead, the ground was overflowing with corpses, and the smell of blood wafted everywhere. They were struggling to live. Compassion and righteousness were nowhere to be seen. Huang Boyun couldn't come up with anything to refute it. The reality in front of him had to be an illusion, but he knew it wasn't. With eyes full of anguish, Huang Boyun mumbled, where, just, tick. Where the hell is justice? As his mouth was grabbed, he couldn't pronounce it properly, but one could understand what he meant. You are stupid. Would a warrior talk like that? Grab. Quack. Crack. Chen Yuan tore off the jaw joints. He then spoke to the man who was bleeding profusely. Strength is justice. At those words, Huang Boyun lowered his head as his eyes went blank. Chen Yuan stood up and approached the trembling Jiggle Bohyun. He instinctively knew it was his turn. If only Hang Yurin hadn't sealed his blood points, he would have run away. Chen Yuzhang. Yes. Chen Yuzhang approached Chen Yuan at the call. You said you wanted to take revenge? Go on. Thank you. When he was given the chance, Chen Yuzhang's face brightened. Chen Yuzhang drew his sword and approached Jiggle Bohyun. SRNG. Looking at the sharp sword, Jiggle Bohyun trembled. Chen Yuzhang. Death was definite. And before he died, he wanted to at least say something. Put away the delusions that you will be able to resurrect the demonic cult with this. Do you think you will be able to face the whole Murim when you're weaker than how you were 27 years ago? Is that all? Chen Yuzhang raised his sword. He intended to cut the head off at once. Jiggle Bohyun looked at Chen Yuan. You are doing this believing in just that one monster. Chen Yuzhang. Don't think that he is the only monster in the world. At those words, Chen Yuzhang narrowed his eyes. If what Jiggle Bohyun said was true, then it meant that there was someone on the same level as Chen Yuan. Wondering, Chen Yuzhang asked, Are you talking about the president of the association? Chen Yuzhang had heard the rumors. Rumors that the president of the Murim Association was at Divine Master level. People thought that it was a nonsensical story. With a smile, Jiggle Bohyun continued. Only a monster could face a monster. However, that man turned into a monster 10 years ago. That was what Jiggle Bohyun believed. The fact that Chen Yuan, who was a member of Sky Demon Order, had only come out now, meant that he reached Divine Master level not long ago. Jiggle Bohyun glanced at Chen Yuan and said, A baby monster cannot beat a full-grown monster. But Chen Yuzhang asked, So? Jiggle Bohyun frowned. He tried to provoke them, but this wasn't the reaction he was hoping for. At least, he expected them to be confused or angry. With a smile, Chen Yuzhang said, Right. A baby monster cannot beat a full-grown monster. How can a divine master defeat a heavenly master? What? Jekyll Bohyan's eyes widened with shock. He couldn't think anymore. Slash. Thud. It was because his head was cut off.